Welcome back to the Evolve podcast. I'm Rhiannon.
And I'm your better host, Brendon.
All right, we'll leave it at that. But for now, pretty much what this podcast is all about is self-development, health and fitness, and our journey starting as brand new business owners.
Let's go. Make sure that you share this around because I'm telling you right now, this is the best podcast you've ever seen.
Enjoy, guys. Ciao.
You know what? I did some background research. I didn't know you were in a movie.
A movie? Oh, yeah.
Just throwing it back.
Oh, I just did some extras work. And yes, technically I am in some American sci-fi movie about lots of, it's kind of like COVID-esque where there's some rampant virus going around and lots of dead bodies.
Yep.
And so I think in the extras, I am one of the dead bodies at one point.
Oh, you're one of the dead bodies.
Oh, I'm a few things because you're in different scenes. Yeah. So was I a doctor or a dead body first? This was a few years ago. So I think I'm one of the medical team at one point because I've got my white coat on, etc. And then I think I'm one of the dead bodies as well. So yeah.
No, right. Did you talk in it as well?
I think I have one or two words.
Okay.
Yeah. Funny story though. I was actually asked, so typical one of these, B grade or C grade films, as you call them. They always have the presidential table, and I was asked to be one of the people at the presidential table. But at the time, I think I was coaching as well, and I had clients or I had a meeting or something, so I couldn't be on the presidential table. Otherwise, I would have had a bit more of a part in this movie.
Wow, there we go.
Were you always into it, like into wanting to act, or it just happened?
I was just doing extras work for a bit of fun, a bit of cash. I'm not like a serious actor or anything.
So it's just like a one-hit wonder in a way.
Yeah. Did a bit of that. I've done a bit of stuff for photos and things. Just kind of, particularly when I started my fitness career, transitioning out of advertising. Obviously, it's not always too fast to take
transition
off.
there.
Yeah. So I was picking up little odds and ends things, and it was a bit of fun. You meet interesting people.
Pretty cool.
I can see the thumbnail now. Movie star to personal trainer. That's going to be the title.
Yeah.
Tell us about a little bit of your story. So obviously that realm was a long time ago, but then you obviously transitioned into the personal training, or was that something that you did all through your career?
So I've really been involved in fitness and sport since I was little.
Yep.
I think I, from memory, begun gymnastics at like age 4, so was put into sport quite young and always loved it, always was playing a sport. Like at school, every semester, I think I've done probably every sport. Then sort of throughout school, got more serious with netball and basketball, and ended up doing a bit of coaching there too. So really, really liked that coaching side, and did a little bit of that through uni and stuff. So a bit of coaching there. At the time I went to uni, I don't think I realised it was a possibility to, do a degree in, let's say, what you guys did in sports science or exercise science or anything like that. And I think I really would have liked that. I actually went ahead though and I did a Bachelor of Media and Communication. So advertising was my first career, but kept involved in sport, kept playing netball, randomly at uni, went to uni games for European handball. That's
no way.
It's a very different sport.
Different sport.
From netball to European handball.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of like a bit like basket. It's got basketball.
Yeah, there's a bit of everything.
Oh, it does actually, yeah.
And it's kind of like soccer-y.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Basketball.
It's like a mixture of everything, to be honest.
It literally is. And playing that hungover, I
not a good one.
don't recommend that. Yes.
Uni parties into European handball.
I know, right?
Back to back.
I know. So yeah, basically I found myself when I was in my advertising career, like I enjoyed it. I did quite well in it. There was good money, I'm not going to lie. But I was always at the gym, and in my lunch breaks, I was taking my colleagues to the gym, and unintentionally, they'd ask a question, like let's say something on, squats and the squat rack, and I'd fix up their form. I'd tell them to go to depth. I'd be like, you need to work on this, this and that, and maybe this.
Yep.
And I was ending up coaching my colleagues, ending up pushing my lunch break longer than it should have been. And also, I think the owner of the gym at the time, and this gym is now quite a reputable brand that's expanded across Australia, he said to me, why don't you go and do your certs? Like, you're in here that often. You love it for yourself. I've seen you coaching other people. Like, I'm not saying I mind, but I think you would really enjoy this even if you didn't practice in it. And I thought, hey, that's a really good idea. Like, I love to learn. Yes, I am interested in this. It's been a big part of my life. Why don't I go and do it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So who was an influential part in your career and how you started?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went and did it, but with no pressure or expectation. Like I already had a job somewhere. So it was more, this is a hobby I want to expand upon for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was more of a fun thing for you at the time.
Yeah.
And what gym was that?
That was the fitness playground.
Oh, wow. There we go.
Or one playground. As it's
Yeah,
called
one playground
now.
it's called now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was one of the owners there.
Oh, wow. There we
Encouraged
go.
me along. Yes.
Was that in the city?
That was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So their first branch opened in Surrey Hills was their flagship.
Yeah.
So it all started there.
It did.
Oh.
And you were one of their first PTs that wasn't even a PT?
Well, yeah, they had a onboarding program, an academy for, I guess, talent that weren't yet qualified to nurture them. And honestly, that was a very, very good program. They ran a few sessions per week.
Oh, cool.
And they even had, like, it wasn't watered down, like it was ongoing education for their existing PTs as well. And then as a new person, if you were invited to come along, you would go to this.
You could join those sessions as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it all kind of like morphed into you becoming a personal trainer from just training your friends at uni.
Yeah. Well, I was training my colleagues. Yeah. My lunch break. And actually, when I trained myself, random people would come up to me and ask for help, particularly females would kind of watch me and then they would say, oh, that looked great. Like, how do I use, the bench press, or how do I use a leg press, or and I'd show them.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So you did European handball in uni. Did you transition into any sports in the gym as well?
Well, I've done powerlifting. That came, when did I start powerlifting? Maybe 2018, 2019.
Yep. Just going to scooch that forward.
Just sort of started doing a group class with a powerlifting coach at a Bondi location. Enjoyed it. Worked out I had a pretty good sort of power to body weight ratio and all the compound lifts, and went ahead and did my first comp. I think it was 2018. This was like out in Tarrant Point, sort of the league where it's not really sanctioned. What I mean by that is, you could have any supplement in the world you wanted. So there was some bulked up people there.
Of course.
Yeah. Went on, enjoyed it. Actually did quite a bit of that and trained at a really cool gym in Paddington, Adonis, and learnt some amazing things from the coaches there.
And that's a strength gym, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a strength and conditioning gym. So went along there and under the guide of some amazing coaches, actually did quite well, did a few more comps, and I got up to being able to go to nationals, like I qualified.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
First comp?
Unfortunately, I never got to go to nationals because COVID came.
Oh, so it was
that
just
was
before.
Yeah. So I did, the other comps in the lead up to it. And then, it would have been going into nationals, and then COVID struck, and I kept training. Actually, they had all the equipment, you know, outdoors as you did, but then I think so January after COVID struck, I was actually realized I was pregnant with my daughter, so I couldn't keep powerlifting training. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I still do enjoy all the lifts. I just don't think I have that competitive nature for powerlifting anymore. Got a bit repetitive.
Okay.
Yeah. I can imagine, because it's just 3 lifts.
Literally. It is just 3 lifts. Like, don't get me wrong, I love all 3 lifts, but yeah, now I'm now I'm into high rocks. So
What were the numbers looking like for your lifts?
back then I was same as I am now, body weight 52. So the best I ever got was I think a 87.5 or 90 squat, 130 deadlift, and a 55 bench.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad overall score. And in the last comp I did 9 for 9. So you get 3 attempts on each lift. I didn't
fail
bugger any attempt. Yeah, so
There you go.
it was a nice way to sort of go
Close
out,
out your
I guess.
career in a way.
Not knowing that I was going to finish
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't have fond memories.
You retired with a perfect score.
Literally,
See, I'm out. Here's my score sheet. That's it. I'm done.
yeah.
Perfect. And you just mentioned high rocks. So now you're training for the high rocks coming up?
I am. I've done one. I did last year women's relay.
Yep. Was that your first one?
That was my first one. I was actually 14 weeks pregnant with my son when I
Oh,
did
no
it.
way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's going to be a little high rocks baby.
I know, it's like high rocks too for him. He comes along to the training, and so now I'm doing mixed relay in July.
Wow. It's all happening for you. That's awesome.
It's good training. I really enjoy the mix of sort of the cardio, the conditioning, and then the strength
Components in it as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good mixture of everything.
100%.
A lot of our guests that come onto this podcast, they seem to do a lot of different things in their life, or they do a lot of things at once, but somehow they're able to create success in multiple arenas at the same time. How are you able to juggle all the things that you do every day?
Oh, that's a nice question. Hopefully I juggle them all right. I think being a bit more mature now, particularly having 2 children, I'm learning that sometimes you have to say no to things, and you have to, I guess, exercise what I call conveyor belt theory, which if you would like to think about your luggage going around the carousel at the airport, if it all happened at once, it wouldn't go around, it would all fall off. So you have to, whilst you can have a few different arenas or a few different things, you have to think, okay, what is my main focus sort of for today and tomorrow and this week, and what do I need to do in the month? And time management, really. I'm a big fan of the old Google Calendar, having different coloured aspects. So in my Google Calendar, I'm studying law. So for example, my law study slots and my lectures are one colour. My children's daycare is another colour. My clients are one colour. My social activities, etc., are another colour. And I don't say yes to anything or anyone without opening that calendar, because it's time management. It's all so it's saying no, it's time management, and it's also learning to be realistic about how long something will actually take. So what I mean by that is sometimes you get, and I've gotten many coaches on to working on their time management in a Google Calendar, but where they fall down is they don't forecast accurately how long it's going to take. So they'll slot it in, and it's not realistic because they haven't put a break for themselves to go have a water, go have a coffee, walk around, etc. Or they've just predicted that they will finish all this programming, like 7 programs. Oh yeah, I'll do that in half an hour. Good luck, unless it's the same thing. So
it's not specific. They're just putting a big block. I've been known to do that. That's my bad habit. I just put a big block, and then whatever happens after that, fill in the slots. But I'm getting better. We're getting better. It's good.
Yeah, I'd say another thing, having that Google Calendar, like learning to adapt. What I mean by that is you've got it mapped out for the week. It looks like this. Be prepared that nothing is perfect and the week will possibly not run like that. So you need to be able to drag those little slots into other spaces to make sure that you can hit the priority. You need to have a plan. You need to be thinking, okay, what are my short term, my medium term, what are my long term goals? What do I want for myself, personally, in terms of my mental health, my physical health? What do I want financially? What do I want for, my ongoing education and career? I like to sort of have these conversations with myself, and I think that's crucial for anyone, because sometimes you set out on a goal or a conquest and you've got multiple arenas, and then you realize that maybe that is not compatible with you and it's not the right thing to follow anymore, and you need to know when to let go of something that no longer serves you.
Yeah.
That could be a job, that could be a relationship. You need
That could
to
be
be
a sport as well.
Sport, yeah. Because at the end of the day, if we think of life as a jar, there's only so much we can fit in our jar. And if we're wanting to be open to new opportunities and growth, we still have to leave a little bit of room in that jar. Otherwise, we're never going to see that opportunity or that chance.
And never be able to leap at it too.
That's
Because
correct.
sometimes you need to dive in when you see a good opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Don't be scared. That's something I'd say. Learn from your mistakes. I've definitely made a few. I've learned from them. Learn to take, now this is a hard one for me, learn to take sort of feedback, or learn to take criticism as feedback and see feedback as like a positive
Rather than
thing.
a negative.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. See that as someone, or almost like you've done an assignment and you're getting the feedback from the
lecturer.
lecturer. How can you improve? When you get feedback from someone, like they might mean it. You've got to discern, is this person
Trying to shoot you down or trying to help
correct.
you improve?
So first you need to discern, is this useful feedback or is this complete crap? So don't listen to complete crap, otherwise you'd be wasting your time. But if it's useful feedback, even if it stings a bit, my tip would be, if it stings you a bit and it's useful feedback, it's stinging because it's true. So how do you grow? How do you have that growth mindset? What can you learn from it? How do you link that into your goals?
That makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned the jar analogy. I feel like a lot of people can get overwhelmed with that jar. Like, how big is a jar? How many things can I fit into it every single day? Is there like a level that you can increase the size of that jar or make it easier to fit in more things over time? And is it a bit of a like a process where, you start at day one, you can probably only do one sport, but then after a few months of integrating more sports, you can actually handle more of a load? Is that possible?
I think it depends on the person and the systems really, and I guess what they want to prioritize in their life. But I think really the use of the jar analogy is to be, checking in once a month or so with yourself. Are these major, say you've got 7 or 8 major silos that you're focusing your time into. Are these major silos aligning with my short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals? Am I allowing in my jar that little bit of room for opportunity and chance to come? Am I myself balanced and looking after myself? Like, am I in equilibrium? If the answer is yes, these silos are aligning with my goals and my direction, I've still got a little bit of room in the jar for things to pop in, and I feel great. I feel, like I can attack the world.
Yeah.
Awesome, you're in the right spot. But if it's like, oh, I want to go back and study business, but I'm doing, so many different sports, my schedule is jam-packed and I've taken a job at a bar to make money and I never have the time,
Actually fit it in.
to actually fit in the study for this business course, but I really want to do it, then something has to give because that's not aligning with what you're saying.
Oh, makes sense. And do you feel I feel like that's a big skill though, having to create that jar, figure out what type of things you can fit into your life in a week or in a month. How long did it take for you to decide how to actually create that for yourself?
I think it's an ever evolving process, really. To be honest, where I've come to where I am today is people are always there to give you advice. I've been getting advice from many different types of people over the years. And I would say jar theory was from a girlfriend of mine back, 10, 15 years ago when we used to work in banking, and she sort of spoke about that. She was speaking about people in your life more so than things, but I use it for both, and that really resonated with me. So jar theory may not resonate with everyone.
Yeah.
Similar to, conveyor belt theory may not resonate with everyone.
Of course. It's just that's what you've, through your experience, have taken on board.
I'd say the first step is to really write down what you think you want. I'm a big believer of journaling, or if you don't like writing, record yourself, type it in your phone, whatever. But give yourself that space. We really need to prioritize ourself and our space, and having, it's something you need to do on your own. Having your best mate or your partner hold your hand. No.
Yeah.
It's for you.
You got to keep yourself accountable.
Yes, it's for you, and you have to work out what you want. And I always say to people, so a friend might come and say, "Oh, what do you think on this decision?" And I'll give them an opinion. I'm pretty blunt.
Yeah.
I think X or Y, but I will say, I know you're probably asking a few people, and that's great. Write down what they say, have a think about it, because when you know the answer, you won't need to ask people. The reason you're still asking is because you haven't sat with it and thought about it yourself.
Yeah.
So it's okay to need to take time to make a decision or to not know the answer straight away.
Yeah.
Yes, I think, come to your question, Brendon, really comes down to the person just start off small, give yourself the time and the space to have that conversation, to have that reflection about what you want, and start there.
Yeah. Look within in a way.
Yeah. Is that how you keep yourself accountable too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to have that time. And, when you're busy like me with 2 children, it's sometimes hard to get that, but that's a big thing that I want every week, that space to sort of just have a little check-in on where I'm going and what I'm wanting. And
How is that through journaling?
Sorry, how?
Is that through journaling?
I do a bit of journaling, but sometimes it might just even be, going for a walk to the beach, to the park. Yeah. Sometimes I can do it when I'm training between sets. Yeah.
That's actually a good idea, a good way of doing it.
Yeah, because your mind switches off if you've got a bit of weight on your bar. And
that is true.
You're sort of, you are nowhere else but the training, and then generally between the sets you're tired, so you're sitting down, relaxing in that moment. You can take little thoughts, and you're nowhere else but present in the gym. So I like to do it there.
Yeah, and with journaling, because a lot of people hear it on a podcast, or they hear someone speak about, I'm starting a journal, or my brother, for instance, did a 75 hard and he journals. Not a lot of people stick to it for a long amount of time. For yourself, did you start with not liking it and grew into liking it, and then you preached it, or was it just something that you started doing?
I'd say, when you get told, journal, you're like, that's a bit weird. I'm not a 5-year-old with a diary. But for me, I guess I had so many changes and challenges in life that I wanted a way to examine my feelings and thoughts on them. I'm not religious about it by any means. I'm not like, I must do it every day and pick up the journal. But when I find those times where I'm a bit confused or I want to reflect, I do find it useful. Sometimes I may not have a journal with me. It's not like I carry a small journal in my pocket. But it may just be, I've had an aha moment, and then I might go for a walk and think about it. And then, in the next day or so, it might prompt me to bring out the journal and jot down some stuff.
Yeah. It's good to get it off the mind sometimes.
Yes, because otherwise you ruminate. And I find, when I'm with my friends or my family or my partner, I want to talk about life. I don't really want, like be in the moment. I don't really want to get too theoretical about, challenges and thoughts and things like that. So that's where the tool of the journal, or some people like the mind map, is a cool one. When you've got a decision to making little branches of it, a mind map.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Like get a whiteboard out.
And pop it on your wall, and then you can keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people like to write on the glass at the shower. Like, there's all different ways. Yeah, I'm not one of them.
I might start doing that. Just bring a whiteboard marker into the shower.
Oh, I think they just do it with the steam, but you can bring a whiteboard marker in.
Works. I don't know why I thought of bringing a whiteboard marker in.
Get a permanent marker, just leave it up there. Every time you go into your shower, wow, I wrote that.
The steam makes more sense. The steam does make more sense. So at one point you were Brendon's mentor. Tell us about that.
Yes. So we were working for a mobile personal training online company. It was COVID time. It was really booming quickly because people could no longer go to the gyms, and this totally was changing, the way I guess they consumed health and fitness. It was also a hugely influential time because COVID placed such a huge challenge on people mentally, like in terms of social interaction, stress. It was an unprecedented event. We got a lot of coaches such as Brendon coming in, and we certainly business was huge. So when I think about that time, it was a really exciting time because the coaches had such a positive, inquisitive attitude, and it was like really, really quite easy to train up someone that they had the will, and even if they had a little bit of a gap in the skill, as you and as a new trainer does initially, trainers like Brendon came in and they had that will and that drive. Yeah. So it was a very rewarding experience for me. Then I think I would interview the trainers, and we only had certain spots, and then I would select trainers that I saw that ambition, drive and spark in, and then work with them similar to the way I guess Brendon works with his team now. Take them through an onboarding. This is the fitness landscape. This is what the company does. This is what is expected of you. Let's work together. Also to tie into this job, your educational, your financial and your personal goals, so that it interlinks, and we keep making sure that when we catch up monthly or fortnightly, that we're also checking in on how you are going to achieving your goals. So I remember the time very fondly, and I remember Brendon lapping it up like a sponge.
Yeah. He loves to lap it up like a sponge.
He was just such a fast learner. He had, and the thing that I think with clients is the most important thing, he built relationships well, and his clients gave him great feedback. So he was very quick to fill up business. And it was also wonderful that he was studying in the background because that made him very knowledgeable. I do remember thinking back, teaching Brendon the good old Google Calendar and sort of a bit of scheduling.
I was hopeless back then. I remember I was using like a diary, like a physical one.
You would bring it. I remember you bringing it to me, and I'm looking at like
old school.
Yeah.
She was like, Brendon, what are you doing with that thing? And I was like, oh, this is my calendar. And I showed her the calendar, and she was like, how do you rub things out if things change?
I think you're like, I rip it out or I write over it.
Yeah,
Like, no, don't show me that. That's destroying my soul.
And I went backwards, and you could see all these scrubbed out things, and you're like, I can't look at this thing anymore.
And then I think we must have spent like an hour with me showing you how to add it in and how you can drag appointments if they change.
Yeah.
Well, so how many coaches were you coaching at that time?
I think we got up to about probably 30 or so because there were different regions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you were managing that whole team as well.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have many PTs like me? Because I remember I was calling you pretty often, like every second day or so, I remember. Maybe at the initial stages.
I think you were one of the more like hungry for feedback and growth, which was a really positive thing for me. The other PTs did ring, but there were some, like I can think that there was a quite mature PT that had a fair amount of experience, and if she was calling, it would just be a scheduling issue. It wouldn't so much be
education and training related.
Yeah. Then there were other PTs I was having conversations with, maybe they needed to focus in on certain areas. So it was more, hey, we need to chat more closely to work on these development areas. But with you, it was always very proactive. You were always hungry to know what's next, what can I improve on.
Yeah.
And that's probably what's landed you to be so successful today with your own business. So.
Starting it on my own. Well, you were an influential part in how I started my career because that was my first job. You were my first manager. And I'd say like you were an amazing mentor because it's landed me to where I am today. And a lot of those clients in a way shaped me into the type of PT I am. And I'd say you shaped who I am as a PT as well. But I also think that the fact that you did it for me, I'm just putting money on the fact that you did it for a lot of PTs as well. You managed 30 at that one company, but you've done it in other companies too, where you've managed heaps of teams, heaps of coaches, and a lot of those coaches probably have a similar feeling to what I have in that you've shaped the careers that they have now. What do you think makes a great mentor?
I think a great mentor, so there's probably like 4 or 5 factors. So firstly, that you feel comfortable to talk openly with them is something really important with your mentor. Secondly, that they're knowledgeable in the particular field. Thirdly, that they encourage you to set a plan with them. Big saying by me, fail to plan, plan to fail. Fourthly, that they give you feedback, but it's in a positive way. If you ever get a mentor or a manager putting you down, bullying you, telling you that you're not good enough or
not the right environment,
that walk away from that person. Do yourself a favor. That is never, and the same thing in sports. That is never how you should mentor a team member, someone you're training, or if you're coaching, someone in business. That is not how a professional behaves. So please disregard that person's advice as crap. I would also say that they feel proud of you is a big thing. Because sometimes you can surpass your mentor. If you have a mentor who genuinely cares for you, they feel really proud and excited, and they're on that journey with you. If you have a mentor or a manager that starts to get intimidated by you, that becomes toxic.
Has that happened in the past for you?
I have had a few that have started to become intimidated by the direction in which I was going, which is really sad because similar to what you said to me, they would have shaped my journey, and I would have hoped that they would be proud at my trajectory that I was coming on to the next thing the same way that I'm really proud for you.
Yeah, because I always remember that as I was progressing and getting more clients and becoming a lot more successful, you were still pushing me to go further, always pushing me to go further. And even when you left, I still had you in the back of my mind. Make sure your Google Calendar's done. Make sure you're putting everything in. Make sure you're planning. And I was just rolling through my head, and it still does to this day.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that's what all of your PTs are pretty much doing. And from what you're saying about mentoring, would you say that people go through a stage with their mentor where they eventually pass them because the mentor is not focusing on growth themselves?
I don't think you could have a mentor for life. I mean, I think it's a good idea to have more than one mentor. But like I say, make sure you might have obviously more than one goal, more than one thing that you're balancing at once. But make sure that mentor is knowledgeable in the area, and definitely make sure in your initial conversations with that mentor that they don't come in and pretend they've never failed in their life. No one has never failed in their life.
That's very true.
Yeah, you don't want to work with someone who has the guise that they're an absolute perfectionist. Well, they might be a perfectionist, but that they have never failed and everything goes to plan, because that's really not realistic.
Yeah.
Pretty impossible as well. You haven't lived if you haven't failed.
Absolutely.
That's true as well.
Absolutely.
Did you have any mentors growing up?
I never, I'd say that they came more sort of organically. I can think of friends and sort of people, particularly like in the beginning in the advertising industry, that I gravitated towards, that became my mentor.
Yep.
Similarly, like, you know, within the gym, let's say when I was training in the strength and conditioning gym, certain athletes, etc., certain coaches that became my mentor. So I think I gravitate towards people whose attributes and knowledge align towards the direction I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess now I'm in law, I will, like, I've sought out a mentor. I'm doing some, like an internship, under a solicitor in law. So I guess he's my mentor.
Yeah.
But that is the first actual, like official mentoring relationship I've done. Prior to that, it's been organic, which is cool because you can have a lot of organic mentoring relationships, and it doesn't have to cost anything.
Arm and a leg.
That's it.
Yep. Just their experiences.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And with obviously the mentor that you're going on with now, have you started that?
Yeah. I've been doing that for a while.
What are some key takeaways that you've gathered from them so far?
Well, this is something I actually do every week.
Yep.
So I'm studying a law degree, and I guess you call it practical legal training. So I work under a solicitor, and that solicitor is specialised predominantly in personal injury law, which I find really interesting, having, I guess, the fitness background, knowing all my anatomy, etc. Often when you read a insurance claim or report regarding a client's injury, it has a lot of anatomy in it.
Yep.
This episode is brought to you by Dynamic Recover. You're not lazy, you're just busy. But let me ask you this. How much longer are you going to let your health take a backseat to your calendar? You already know what to do. Train, eat well, stay consistent, but knowing isn't the problem. Doing it while running a business, managing a team, or raising a family, that's where most people fall flat. At Dynamic Recover, we coach high-performing professionals to take back control without adding more to your plate. We give you a clear plan, real accountability, and full access to our coaching team right from your phone. Use code EVOLVE at checkout to get 50% off your first week. That's EVOLV. Hit the link in the show notes. Start now before later turns into never. Now let's get back to the episode.
The thing I really like about my mentor is he's organised. He's a good communicator. He uses a program where he puts up the task for the day on a board, and then I can pull it across into, to do today, in progress, pending, completed.
Oh, wow, there we go.
Yeah. So
all on Google Calendar as well?
No, this isn't Google Calendar. That program's called Trello. You can get many board-based team collaborative programs. So I really like that because when we start our meetings prior to our session, he's prepared. This is what we've got to do. It's visual as well, so I can see the tasks. I can ask questions. And then I also like that at the start of our sessions, I can bring questions that I may have, thought out throughout the week, maybe in my studies or something I'm doing. So after we've spoken about what's to do for today, then I might bring some questions either about that for my learning or something that I've had throughout the week.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it.
So obviously as like a seasoned mentor yourself, you've obviously mentored a lot of coaches in the fitness industry. Do you know what to look out for when you're picking a mentor yourself?
I do.
You do? And what kind of attributes would you look out for when picking a mentor? If someone was watching this right now and they're on the fence about picking a mentor or not picking one, what things would you look out for?
Well, firstly, I guess if you're going to pick a mentor, there are professional mentors and, there are organic mentors. So I think it's important to make that distinction. Are you wanting to invest into it financially or are you wanting to look for an organic mentor? So that's decision one. If you're going down the financial route, I mean, generally in this day and age, finance will be, a part of your decision. If you're going down the financial route, please, please, please ensure that you get a complimentary consultation with the person. And prior to that, you've done your homework and gone and, read reviews, understood their packages and services, and that you come across with some prepared questions for them and really make sure you're asking them how they are equipped to propel you to achieve your goal. Ask them to give you examples of how they have helped others in, similar situations to yourself. And you might even, if this person is a professional mentor, ask for some references because if they have a professional business, they should be prepared to give you references of clients, etc., that they've helped. So that's the, I guess, professional financial route. If it's an organic mentor, I think it's good to have a few organic mentors. Firstly, you want to establish, is it an official or is it an unofficial relationship? So if it's going to be an official relationship, that means it's known, it's formal. You're going to need to have the confidence to approach that person and ask them, hey, I like X or Y about, your career, your knowledge, how you approach things in life. I'm looking to achieve,
a similar thing.
Z.
Yeah.
Would you feel comfortable helping me to achieve this? And how can we work together? Because if it's going to be, if it's going to be a known mentoring relationship that's not paid, you need to have a conversation with them so that they acknowledge that they're happy to do it, they're comfortable with it, and you guys need to work out a regular set of meetings or how you're going to work together. You're going to catch up for a coffee once a month. Are you going to do it, completely online? Like, how's it going to work for you? Once you've done that, you want to, because they may not have formally mentored anyone before, but they may have that skill set or that thing that you want, and you guys might be the right fit. So then it would be like, see what they come back with and maybe go for a coffee and honestly listen to yourself and think, do we gel? Do I want to catch up with this person, at least once a month for coffee or on a Zoom chat? Do I feel comfortable being honest and open with them about my goals? Do I feel like I can take feedback from them? Do I feel like they are equipped to give me feedback? Is this a person who is genuinely invested in me? It would be cool, a great question to ask this particular person, what was their biggest challenge in their life to date, or challenges, and how did they overcome it? And gauge how honest they are with you. Because
that's a good one.
If your BS meter goes off, that is not the mentor for you.
Yeah.
You need
like
someone.
If you can tell it's off.
Oh, yeah.
It's an off conversation.
Yeah. If it's just wafty and it's crap.
Yeah. You can smell the BS from a mile
yeah.
away.
I remember you asking that question all the time. Every monthly meeting, you'd ask that question to the whole team, but also individually. Is there a reason why you've always asked that?
I think to ground people and to remind people, this is the way, I guess, life is. Like, we all have challenges, and different things challenge different people in different ways. But an important thing to remember for growth is what we feel is very challenging and difficult, in this moment. A year later, we're still going to remember probably that was a big challenge or a big event, but we're not going to have the same emotions associated with it. So by asking people, I was wanting to see how are they getting through and processing those challenges, and what new challenges are they having. And also, because we were in a group, I was wanting to see the synergy in the challenges that the coaches were facing.
There we go.
When you were mentoring Brendon back then, did you see a difference in like personal training then versus now? Like, do you find there's a big difference between personal training back then and now?
Oh, definitely, because it's changed so much after COVID. I find, I guess, clients are a lot more open to trying, I guess, online methods, online coaching through, I don't know, Zoom or Google Hangouts. Clients, I think there has been a big shift and focus from business as well towards investing in their employees' health and wellness, and a real shift in understanding about the benefits of exercise and nutrition overall on a person's well-being and productivity. So that has been incrementally increasing since when I mentored Brendon back then. I'd also say, I guess, the current economic climate is a bit uncertain. So as inflation rises, obviously the cost of training, etc., rises. So to accommodate this inflation, and I guess clients becoming a little bit more, conscious of what they're spending money on, we have needed to bring in products that are, at a shop, we call it like a shopping trolley. So different solutions for different clients' needs. And I think that's wonderful, because if you're a good coach and you've got a long-term client, that client may lose their job, get a redundancy, or, have a baby or something. They might need to pull back on training, but it's about working out what is some way that you can keep in contact with them and help them maintain what they've achieved. And then hopefully when they pick back up, that relationship can keep going. And that's a big thing for coaches today. If you're going to be, if you're going to keep clients for 5-6 years, beyond that, like which I have, we have maintained that relationship because they've been flexible on their part and I've been flexible on my part.
That constant communication.
Yeah. So I think sort of since I mentored Brendon, like sort of even pre-COVID, before I mentored you, it was a lot of the attitude of a personal trainer might be, well, this is my price.
Yeah.
If you don't like it,
Put the
see
foot down.
you. And I mean, it's good to hold your ground, and it's good to know what the floor is in terms of personal training prices. However, I really do think you have to have a suite of services and products to adequately serve clients today.
Yeah. And that's through upskilling, through education, all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
With a new person, say a new personal trainer is watching this podcast, what would you say for them stepping into a personal training role? What would you say for them to look out for?
Do you mean by in terms of a job opportunity or similar to what you look in for a mentor? So obviously you're going to be going into a paid relationship. So firstly, make sure that the company is reputable. Look for reviews from the clients or other coaches. Look at the ongoing education and development they provide. And then the lawyer in me says, have a look at the contract. But also sit down. If you're going to be working in a team, before you say yes to it, and any business owner should be happy with this if they've got a team and you're about to join it, ask to go for coffee with the team. See if you vibe them, see if they're happy. When I used to bring, particularly in gyms, when I used to bring a trainer into a gym, I would always ask the coaches right at the end. I'd do all the assessments on their knowledge, their training skills, etc. But I'd say to some of the coaches who'd been there quite a while, I'd like you to come for coffee with me and this potential person, because I want this new coach to pick the brains of the most successful coaches in our business, but I also want to see that they gel with that group.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you would always just see that other side of them when they're put in that situation.
Yeah, because you need to work there. I'm a big believer in work in places that make you feel passionate and happy. It makes me so sad today when I hear stories of people going into jobs they hate, not really speaking to anyone, not having a lunch break. That is not healthy. That is not healthy mentally. No. And that is just going to wear you down. So when you're fortunate enough to have a choice of different, fitness companies that you may be able to start with, take your time, research them, create a little Excel table, do a mind map, have a think, meet people, don't rush.
Yeah.
Because if you pick the right one, it's going to be a long-term relationship and you're going to propel yourself. So take the time.
You never know what will happen.
Through your years in mentoring, because you've mentored a lot of people now, was there any signs that you looked out for in coaches where you were like, that person's going far?
Probably a few things. That they came to me with a lot of questions so that they were prepared in our meetings was a big thing for me. That they brought new and interesting perspectives that I may not have necessarily thought of, and they were confident to do so. Another big thing, that they cared for and that they were aware of their teammates, the other coaches. So they were three big things for me. I would say fourth, that they weren't scared to fail, or that they weren't too avoidant of criticism, like positive criticism, positive feedback.
So there's a few factors that you kind of looked at. You're like, oh, this person's ticking all those boxes. They're always asking questions. They're getting along with all their teammates and looking to help improve the people that they're working with. They're actually working on themselves and they're accepting criticism and actually working on that as well.
Yeah. They have, it comes down to growth mindset, doesn't it? They have that growth mindset. They want to be here. They're passionate about it. They want to learn. They want to grow. They care about the people around them. It's great to be competitive, but no one wants to work with dog eat dog. That's not nice.
Have you experienced anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, we're in fitness, of course. Of course, I've seen dog eat dog, and sabotage and all of that.
Yeah.
Especially in gyms, hey.
In gyms, I used to see a lot of it in advertising. At the end of the day, and I'll give some advice to if you encounter that type of situation. It's tempting. It is very tempting to have a go back. Don't do it. Stay professional. That's your brand. Someone is always watching you. Make sure you put your best self forward. Always remember if you're a bit, panicky, aggravated by the situation, that's a little small part of your brain that is trying to take over, and that is, I never say the word right, but it's
amygdala.
Amygdala. Thank you for saying that correctly. Otherwise I would have butchered my speaking. It's the amygdala taking over. I call it the peanut brain. Do not let your peanut brain take over. You are not a monkey. You are a professional. You've got goals.
Yeah.
Pull yourself back and don't engage, and remember your brand. It's the other person that's going to come off looking stupid, not you.
Be the quietest person in the room.
Absolutely. The quietest ones are always the ones that are learning and taking it all in.
Silent assassins.
That's it. Silent is deadly in a good way.
So growth mindset, so that's big for you, I'm assuming,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah. How would you explain that to someone?
I would say that a person has, when I look for it in people, that the coach has drive, ambition, they're able to articulate their goals, they have created a plan to achieve them in realistic steps. So maybe it's they need further education, they've got a mentor, they're doing an online course, that they have put in time for self-reflection and growth into their calendar, but that they also have life balance. I think life balance is important too, because you can have all of the 3 or 4 attributes I said before life balance, and you can burn yourself into the ground. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have growth mindset. It just means that it's going to be hard for you to propel because you're going to burn out before you do. So I look for the fact that they still are able to have a conversation with me about, hey, I'm going on this holiday, or, I'm really interested in knitting, whatever, like that they have some identity and personality outside of it all, because that's super important too. Your personality is your brand as well, your hobbies, etc.
We have a lovely debate on this podcast about burnout. So I wanted to ask you, what's your thoughts on burnout, and do you believe in it?
Oh God, yeah. I've burnt out many times.
Yeah. And what's your definition of burnout?
Burnout, I would define as where you've completely depleted your systems so much that you are predominantly operating in your sympathetic nervous system, so that everyday tasks just become too overwhelming. You wake up and the first thing that hits you in your face is your to-do list. You can't see the beauty in the day anymore because you have pushed yourself too hard and you haven't deloaded. I don't mean deloaded at the gym. I mean you haven't given yourself adequate space or rest. That's what I define as burnout. And
it's the most scientific response or definition of gotten.
What do other people say?
It's just like they've hit a brick wall, or they've done too much work, or they've overloaded themselves with so much work that they just see this big black cloud in front of them, and that's their definition of burnout. But we always go back and forth on the podcast, and even off the podcast, just back and forth on what we can actually define burnout to be.
But that was a pretty structured response right there. So when did you notice that you were actually achieving burnout, or you were hitting that burnout stage?
When did I first have burnout in my life? Probably first had burnout in my life at my final year of school, so like year 12. How I know I got it, or I started to experience that everything became so overwhelming, like I said, even just sort of everyday things. And my body actually told me I got glandular fever.
So big brick wall in front of you.
Yeah. Big. Yeah.
How long did that set you back?
Well, that was in it would have been in the first part of year 12 when we were doing all the assessments, etc. And I sat those assessments with glandular fever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Oh, it was fun. I had a lot of Codral cold and flu.
Of course.
Which was the only thing that was getting me through.
Yeah.
That also because, I mean, you can't really pull back in year 12, can you? Particularly if you've got your exams coming up. But that for me pushed into chronic fatigue towards like after year 12. I started uni and then I deferred it for a year because I needed to rebuild myself, get back into my parasympathetic nervous system, and just have some balance in life. So I instead went and did some travels. I, worked in a bar job, sort of took it a bit easy to reset.
Would you say that from that first experience you were able to deal with it a lot better every other time that it happened?
Yes, because I could recognize it. The first time it happened, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought it was like, trying to get every test at the doctor. I was like, what?
What's
My
happening?
mind is fuzzy. I can hardly read a few sentences. Everything seems so difficult. What is going on? Like, I mean, mind you, I did have glandular fever, but it would have been in the lead up to that.
What were some ways that you overcame burnout?
Being able to, for me, I also get physical signs in when I'm getting burnt out. Like my body starts to feel heavy. I might, go to read something and find my eyes closing, a bit or something like that.
Yep.
Like I'm falling asleep even though I've slept 8 hours the night before. In my in day-to-day life, my personality maybe not feeling as upbeat or excited about upcoming events with my friends or family. These are signs to me that I'm starting to get burnt out. So that's how I recognize it, and the way I address it is just sort of pulling back to basics. So, okay, am I nourishing my body? Am I eating well? If I'm busy, traveling around, have I packed healthy snacks in my bag, etc. Am I getting to bed on time? Am I having space for myself where I can let my mind unwind? Whether it be gym time, reading a book, watching a Netflix film, doing some journaling if that's what I feel like. So I get back to basics on a protocol that looks after myself.
Yeah.
When you see that burnout though, the first time it can be tempting to have a bit of negative self-talk and be like, oh, why is this happening to me? I don't see it happening to other people around me. Am I a failure? You are not a failure. Be kind to yourself. Look after yourself. And if you're struggling and you're getting that negative self-talk, picture the advice you would give to a friend. Like if a friend came to you and they'd had that situation, what would you say to your friend? Be your own friend.
That's good advice. I like that one. Do you feel like you can actually extend the time horizon between when you get burnt out the second time, third time? What I'm trying to say is, when you first got burnt out in year 12, the next time you got burnt out, it was probably a bigger load than what you were experiencing in year 12. Do you feel like you can actually increase the load every single time or increase your capacity?
You can definitely, like I've certainly increased what I can do since year 12. I have 2 children. That's an achievement in itself that I got here today. No. You can definitely increase your load, but with that being said, you have to be quite assertive about going, yep. It's almost like training in the gym. Like you can increase the load on your 3 compound lifts, but you need to plan deload week. So you need to look at your schedule. You're not a robot, You can't just push to the end. You need to plan in rest and recovery.
Yeah.
So this the same way you would deload in a gym, like plan that in. Okay, I'm having a holiday week or I'm having an event where I just switch off. I don't, I don't take calls. Like I have a personal phone and I have a work phone for that reason. I want to switch off
from work.
That makes sense.
And that's really like important. So you need to plan that mentally for yourself. Like you do updates on your laptop and it switches off and, it gets faster and better. You need to do that for yourself.
Yeah, big time. Have you had clients go through it, and would you give them similar advice to that?
I have had, because I predominantly, I take a lot of corporate clients, and yes, I've seen them go through it, and I coach them in those weeks where they go, oh, it's so busy, it's so stressful, how will I exercise? And I say, we don't necessarily need to exercise this week. Let's use it as a deload week, but let's focus on your sleep, your nutrition, your self-care, your mobility. Like let's focus on what we can do outside of your business, your busy, business schedule or whatever.
So the planning comes into play.
Planning comes into play and focusing on what you can achieve, because when you get into burnout, it's all about, oh, I can't do it. It's too much. I don't want to get out of bed. What can you do?
And it's very important to obviously plan those deload weeks, you said.
Absolutely. A small, even a small trip with your friends, something to look forward to,
Just switch off from it all.
Just to switch off, to get present in life.
Yeah. I think a lot of people forget that, to have that little disconnect from the world a little bit, because it's so hectic.
Well, we're so... As my mum says, we're in a generation of instantaneous gratification. Like you think to the olden days, you think of how they communicated. They picked up a phone. They didn't necessarily have, 24/7 connection with people.
FaceTime and location and all that stressful stuff.
It's pretty full on for your body, and you can get overloaded. And I was actually having this conversation with a girlfriend the other day, and she said, two girlfriends have said this to me. I'm sorry, I pulled back. I was going through something. And I said, please don't ever tell me you're sorry from pulling back from, communicating with people or going off social media. That is a normal thing to do when you go through a challenging time, and that is you prioritizing you and you protecting you, and you should treasure that. That is good.
Yeah.
And it's something that's lost in today's society as well.
That's correct. We don't need to, if we're going through a challenging time, publish it on Facebook or put it out there. It's okay. Yeah, it's
guys,
okay.
I'm going through burnout right now.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
pull back, and like it is good if you're going through burnout. It can be a bit challenging. Like confide in someone that you trust. It is a real thing. It is. Anyone who tells you it's not has, probably not experienced it, lucky them, or they get it a lot themselves and they're embarrassed about it, which they shouldn't be.
That makes sense. And do you feel like it's over glamorized in a way? And when I say that, I mean that people use it as an excuse to not actually wanting to push hard in a way.
I'd say that comes down to the person. If you get bad enough burnout, it will, wipe you out. But that being said, many things in life can wipe you out. And if you want to succeed, you need to get on top of it and, focus on some of those strategies we've just spoken about to address it. It's the same way as someone could have, a life trauma or a challenging or traumatic childhood that shouldn't shape the rest of your life. Like you can get on top of those things. You can reach out to a professional, a medical professional, a counselor, get some help, get some strategies. You can get past these things. So it is definitely real, but I feel the individual, if they have the will, has the power to get some plans in place to control it so it doesn't control them.
That really makes sense.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of self-reflection has gone into the works, burnout after burnout. How does that play a role in your growth today?
Well, I think I'm going through a really big growth phase at the moment. I've always been one to do full-time work, and with my first child, I was back into full-time work. She was 5 months old, and at that point was managing 30 trainers at 2 locations, and I nearly did like burnout like bad. Whereas now, having my first child, she's 2 years 10 months. I have a little boy, he's 15 weeks old. Now it's different. Now I'm happy to do part-time. I understand part-time work that I'm in a phase in my life where I've got young children. I'm studying. Like part-time work is the right fit for me, and I'm okay with that, and it feels good because I'm looking after myself, and I know by looking after myself in turn that will give me the best opportunities for growth. It's kind of like a plant gets a bit burnt, you cut it back and you nurture it and water it and it regrows.
I like that one.
It's a good analogy. Do you use analogies with clients?
Lots of analogies.
Yeah, they're the best. Best way to make things relatable.
Yeah.
It sounds like you speak through a lot of experience. If a younger version of yourself was to walk in here, what would be some advice that you would give her or him?
Her or him?
Yeah.
If I were to give my younger self some advice, the first thing I would say is be kind to yourself. And like I said earlier, think if you're going through a challenging time and negative self-talk pops up, think of the advice that you would give your friend and be that friend to yourself. Secondly, I would say celebrate the wins, even if they're small. There's always something to celebrate. There's always something to be grateful for. Learn to jump on feedback to take it, but also learn when the feedback is not valid. Learn from those around you and surround yourself with people that support your growth mindset, and take time to switch off and be present and enjoy the moments of life, because
you only got one.
That's it, and you're not going to have those particular moments whatever phase you are in your life again. Like even if it's a challenging phase, there's got to be some positives about it. So take the time to embrace it and make memories for it.
I like that. You've talked a lot about growth and strategies to improve and growth mindset. How would you define success?
That's a subjective one, isn't it?
It is.
Very subjective.
All right. Success to me is feeling like I'm growing and learning, like that is a sort of an ongoing
fire inside you.
Yeah, fire inside me. So making sure, whatever it is, life, study, job, that I feel like I'm growing and learning.
Yeah.
That I'm confident and a knowledgeable source within the particular field or area, that I can take feedback, and that I'm happy. Success has a lot to do with happiness. Like I'm happy and I'm passionate in what I'm doing. Yeah. It has purpose. For me, despite the fact I've worked in different industries, I think that's why fitness has always been a part of it, and why I have always maintained my business, and why my business is successful, because I'm always, growing and learning in the field of fitness. I feel passionate and happy when I'm with my clients, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. I think that's the most important part about success. And like we asked that question on the podcast to all our guests, like, what is your own definition of success? Because it is subjective. And most of them say it's happy, which is good. Yeah, I think success does come down to the happiness. Do you feel like you're successful, Brendon?
I'm pretty successful.
I think you are. Absolutely.
What do you hope your legacy is for, like, you know, you as a coach, a mentor?
My legacy. Oh, we're getting deep.
Deep.
I want someone, if I have coached or mentored, we'll talk about the mentor side first. If I've mentored a trainer, I understand that everything I've said, you know, not every part of it will be the correct thing for them, but I want there to be some takeaway that has shaped their life or something practical that they take with them. For Brendon, for example, it was the scheduling, the calendar, etc.
It's like a little puzzle piece that they take along.
Yeah, for other coaches, you know, it might be quick tips on programming or, you know, little things they can do there. But I want to make an imprint. That is what I wish. So I would like that when they think of me, they're like, oh yeah, she gave me that wonderful tip on this or that, and that has really stuck with me today. I guess with clients, I want to have, it's a big one, like my coaching philosophy is educate, motivate, empower. I want to have, you know, provided we've done enough time together, I want to have made a substantial change on the way, you know, they approach, I guess, their fitness and their nutrition and their well-being. And I want them to have that power and education that even if there are life changes, challenging events, that they keep that space for themselves and they know how to keep achieving new goals in that realm. That's what I want.
That's you made me speechless. That's actually a good way to summarize it, your legacy, because that's another question we ask. Is the legacy that people want to leave? It's good that you defined it that way for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're going to watch it back and be like, oh, I said that.
Well, that's exactly what you want to leave with anyone that you've touched in your life. In a way, if it's in mentoring or if it's in coaching, everyone that's come in contact with you kind of want to leave them with something that is going to give them an aha moment, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to spend time with someone, you want to be invested, don't you? You don't do things for shits and giggles. You do it with purpose and passion.
100%. Is my mic off?
No.
Oh, I can't hear anything. That's okay.
Are you burning out? No.
I think I'll just take them off to finish. I don't know. I can't hear.
Are you burning out?
I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out now. My AirPods, my ear things are burnt out.
It's okay. Natalie has some strategies.
What are your strategies for burnout, Nat?
Well, if you rewind,
go back 15 minutes back in, and she'll tell you all about it. Where can people find you on social media or?
Yeah, on social media. So Natalie Louise Fitness is my Instagram, so you can find me on there. Yep. That also website by the same name, Facebook by the same name.
Yep.
And yeah, would love to connect, get in touch. I'm always open to networking and meeting wonderful, inspirational people in the fitness industry and many other industries.
Beautiful.
I like it.
Thank you very much for coming.
You are very welcome. High five.
High fives.
Thank you guys for listening to this week's episode of the Evolve podcast.
Brendon and I have loved having you throughout this whole podcast. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And if friends are interested, share it around.
Yeah, make sure you share and tag us on your Instagram posts, and I'll see you soon.
See you guys. Little boogie to finish.